Okay, so when we did all of our fraction decimal percent stuff, we did cover finding the percent of a number then. And we took a CFA that included it. It comes up again with our number standard 10 that we're working on now. So this should be completely review. And you should have notes very, very similar to what you just wrote already in your notebook. Okay, but it comes up again. All right. Just like with the unit rate and ratio stuff we've been doing since last week, finding the percent of a number is something you will use. Okay. You may not always find the exact percent of a number. You may do more like what we did yesterday where you're estimating, but being able to find the percent of a number you will use often, especially as you get older. Okay. Whether it's looking at discounts, or if you go out to eat and you're looking at a tip you're leaving, or if you're looking at a savings account and it gets a certain interest rate, that all relates back to percent of a number. So this is something you will use. Okay. But it is review. So if you're like, we already did this, we did, and we're doing it again. Okay. So to find the percent of a number, it's even easier now because we get to use calculators. All right. Before we weren't using calculators because we were still testing our actual multiplication. All right. But now we get to use a calculator. But like I told you all week, a calculator is only as good as its user. Okay. Your calculator doesn't know how to solve a math problem. Your calculator knows how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide. It does not know how to solve a math problem. So unless you know how to solve the problem, the calculator is going to do you absolutely no good. And when you're using a calculator, you have to be careful that you type in the right information. Okay? So the calculator is only as good as the user. All right? Unfortunately, it doesn't know how to do it for you. Okay? So calculators are great, but you got to know how to use them and you have to push the right numbers in. All right. That is why yesterday's lesson and what I've mentioned many times is so important. When you're looking at an answer, does my answer even make sense? If it doesn't make sense and you're using a calculator, you did something wrong. Your calculator didn't. You did. So you've got to look to figure out what you did wrong. Okay. So when we're finding the percent of a number, you have to change the percent to a decimal, and I reminded you how we do that. Simply by moving the decimal point 2 places to the left. That should sound very familiar. Okay? Then, once you change the percent to a decimal, you multiply that decimal by the number you're trying to find the percent of. Okay? Again, it's just review. So we're going to look at 3 different examples with 3 types of decimals. Okay? First one we're going to look at is just a normal decimal between 0 and 100%, or normal percent between 0 and 100. So let's say we needed 72% of 30. Here's what you need to be thinking when you're asking yourself, does my answer make sense? Okay. I like to think of like assignment scores because you guys seem to relate to those because hopefully you care about those. If an assignment had 30 points possible and you got a 72 on the assignment, did you get less than 30 points or did you get more than 30 points? I'm going to say that again because we all need to know this answer. If an assignment was worth 30 points and you got a 72 on the assignment, 72% a C, did you get less than 30 points or did you get more than 30 points on that assignment? Mateo? Less than. How do you know that? 100% would be 30. Therefore, if you did not get 100%, you did not get 30. So when you find your answer, it better be less than 30. If it's not, you're wrong. Okay, something else I would think of, I can easily tell myself what half of 30 is. If I got a 50% on this assignment, what did I get? Yes, but how many points did I get? 15. Who said that? How do you know that? Yes. So therefore, if I got a 72, I got more than half. So my answer needs to be between 15 and 30. That's what you need to think about. Then you'll know if your answer makes sense. Okay? And the more you think about it, it'll just come to you super quickly. All right, this is about half. This is 100. This is where I should be. Okay? First thing we have to do, get rid of the percent. So now we have 72. In the number 72, where is the decimal point? This is what I'm finding kids are forgetting. Where is the decimal point in the number 72? It's there, we just don't see it because it's a whole number. Where is it right now? Justin? We're not moving yet. First, we got to figure out where it is to start with. And this is where kids get confused because we don't write it because it's a whole number. Where is it to start with before we start moving? Justin? It's after the 2. Absolutely. Okay, because it's a whole number. So then we have to change the percent to a decimal by moving the decimal point to the left 2 places. So it becomes 0.72. Any whole number has a decimal point. We just don't write it there. It's at the end. Okay? Of tells us to do what? And if you don't know, look at step 2. What does the word of tell us to do in math? Scarlett? Absolutely. Okay? You have to figure that out before you can use a calculator. All right? Now, I like these types of calculators. I know they're hard to see for a few reasons. One, as I'm typing it in, I can then look to make sure, did I type the right thing? Because again, if I don't put the right numbers into a calculator, the calculator is going to give me the wrong answer because I messed up. Calculators never mess up. The user messes up. So I like the ones like this where I can see what I've typed in so I know, okay, I've got 0.72 times 30 like I'm supposed to, and then it gives me my answer of 21.6. Okay? Because if you don't type in the right thing, you are not going to get the right answer back. So first we have to change our percent to a decimal. It becomes 0.72 or 72 hundredths. And then of tells us to multiply, and we multiply the number that we're finding the percent of. To get that, 72% of 30 is 21.6, which is between the 15 and the 30 that I thought it should be. So my answer is probably right. Okay, questions on that one? All right, we're going to switch it up and look more at like a IXL assignment. So let's say you got 110% of the 10 points. Should my answer be more or less than 10? If you scored 110% on a 10-point assignment, should my answer be greater than 10 or less than 10? Someone besides Mateo. I think he's got it. Sorry, bud. And he's been gone for 2 days. If it was a 10-point assignment and I got 110%, did I score more or less than 10 points? Scarlett? How do you know that? You are correct. How do you know that? Hold on. There was a lot of throat clearing going on. Yes, 110% is more than 100. 100 would be 10, so therefore 110%, I better have more than 10 as my answer. Okay? So I've got 110. Where's my decimal point in the number 110? Not where I move it to. Where is it now? Leah? Not yet. That's where I'm going to be in a few minutes. In the number 110, where is the decimal point to start with? Where was it to start with? after the 0. Okay? Move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So yes, it is between the 1 and the 1. Okay? Of tells us to multiply times 10. Now, when you're multiplying and typing into a calculator, you could use 1.1 or you could use 1.10. The answer will still be the same. So I'll do it both ways. If I do 1.1 times my 10, okay, I get 11, more than 10, like we said we should. If I do 1.10 times 10, I still get 11, okay? I told you any zeros after the decimal point do not change the value of the number. So you could do it with either 1 and 1/10 or 1 and 10/100. Isn't going to change the answer. So 110% of 10 would be 11. Now we're going to look at a different scenario. This would be more like a savings account or something. If on your savings account you earn 0.5% on, let's say, $30. Okay? This always either tricks us or makes us think a little too much. 0.5% is not much at all. Okay? That's why I said this is like a savings account. Banks never want to give you too much money, but they'll charge you money on an interest rate, though. 0.5%. Is my answer going to be close to 30 or far away from 30? If it's 0.5%. So let's say this was a test, because we seem to relate to test scores better. If you didn't even get 1% on the test, you got 0.5%. Did you score anywhere close to 30? And hopefully by my tone, you're catching the drift. No, you did not. So your answer needs to be far away from 30. If it's not, you've done something wrong. Okay? Now with this one, we know where the decimal point is right now because there's 1 in the number. You still have to move that decimal point back 2 places. Okay? Even if the percent has a decimal in it, you have to move the decimal point back 2 places. So we would end up taking 0.005 times 30. And we should get a number very far away from 30. And you get 0.15, 1500ths. Okay? Now, if you'll notice what I typed into my calculator, I did not put the 0 before. Okay? It's not going to be wrong if I do. So I will get the same answer if I do 0.005 times 30. I'm still going to get 1500ths. Okay, but when I type my answer, remember, if there is a decimal point and no number in front, we need to be adding that 0 in front of decimal points when you're typing like answers into Canvas or iLearn, things like that. If there's no whole number, you need a 0. So these are 3 different scenarios: a percent between 0 and 100, a percent over 100, and a percent that is less than 1%. No matter what, you have to move the decimal point 2 places to the left before you multiply. Okay? Any questions? And you can use a calculator for these, but like I said, the calculator is only as good as you putting the numbers in. All right? Calculators will give you wrong answers because you put the wrong numbers in. Okay? So, your assignment is from the book. It's page 151. You don't necessarily need your book at all. I typed the questions into the Canvas assignment. When you are finished with that Canvas assignment, which should not take you long, many of you need to get busy on your con for the week. Okay, they are due Friday. Today is Wednesday. Last time I checked Con, we haven't made much progress. So we need to make sure we're getting those finished. There is nothing for you to turn in to me for this 151. You can use a calculator, so you may not have to write down anything. It is possible. But be careful, because if you type the wrong numbers into a calculator, you will have the wrong answer. Okay? Any questions? All right. You have time to work and then work on Khan Academy.